product had been easy to make, and quite a few people, including some colleagues, were eager buyers. It didn't take long to set up a similar operation in Scranton. He didn't even have to change suppliers. He believed he was smart enough to stay under any law enforcement radar. And if the police had noticed him, they hadn't come forward. Before long, Banner's unofficial career was earning him more than his on-air work. On that particular night, Banner went to his favorite bar, Shanahan's, in downtown Scranton. For weeks, he'd sat in the same seat at the right end of the bar, but then started to feel like Norm from Cheers, so he moved to a small table in the far corner. More than occasionally, Banner wound up leaving with a female patron, but no such luck on that night. He arrived at 7 o'clock and left at 9:45. Towns in this part of Pennsylvania generally closed up early, at least by New York standards, and Scranton was no exception. His blood alcohol level was certainly over the legal limit, and there was never a time that he wouldn't have at least traces of drugs in his body, but he never worried about that. He was conscious of his impairment and drove carefully, and it's not like there was ever traffic at that hour. Banner's drive home was without incident, and 20 minutes after he left the bar, he pulled into his garage. 18 seconds after that, the .38 caliber bullet entered the back of his head, killing him instantly. My first cruise is almost over. Truth be told, I didn't want to do this. I was more than willing to go through life cruiseless. But Laurie and Ricky wanted to go on one, so as we often do, we had a family vote. It would not have taken Gallup to predict that the final tabulation would be 2 votes in favor of going and 1 opposed. I asked for the jury to be polled, but that didn't change the final count. We boarded 1 week ago tomorrow. The first thing we did was go to our cabin, which is a 2-bedroom suite. The 2 bedrooms plus the living room combined are the size of a large coffee table. But it would be fine, Laurie assured me, because we would rarely be in the room. There was too much fun to be had on the ship, and I, Andy Carpenter, am nothing if not fun-loving. Almost immediately, we were directed to find our life jackets and make it to our assigned stations, which were listed on the door. I'm not a big fan of needing life jackets because, by definition, they imply danger to life. That's why, for example, we don't keep life jackets in our den at home. I could barely figure out the various straps to get mine on, so Ricky helped me. And of course I was under no stress during this drill. The chance that I would be able to manage it while on the deck of a sinking ship is infinitesimal. We did as instructed and made it to our station. Once there, we stood with maybe 200 other life-jacketed passengers and responded when our names were called. One of the crew assured us that if a passenger was not there to answer to his or her name, another crew member would be sent to their stateroom to get them. This was a mandatory drill. After the roll call, we were told that in an emergency we were to do what we had just practiced: grab our life jackets and come to these stations. Lifeboats would then be lowered automatically from high up on the ship down to us, and we would get in. The plan, I suppose, was to then happily row away to the sounds of Celine Dion coming from the sinking ship's audio system. Almost immediately, I recognized a problem. I think I read somewhere that some of the Titanic lifeboats never even got used, and they didn't have to come down on elevators. They were just sitting there on the side of the ship. So in our case, the ship would be sinking rapidly, but all the lifeboat elevators would work perfectly? Unlikely at best. I was thinking maybe 2/3 of them would make it down. Doing the math, that meant that 1/3 wouldn't, leaving a lot of people floating around, boatless. I do not envision my final resting place to be at the bottom of the ocean, surrounded by rusting buffet tables. It wasn't mentioned, but my guess was that the crew still clung to the antiquated notion that women and children have priority. That is so yesterday. I'm fine with Laurie and Ricky getting special status, but it shouldn't be a blanket policy. It represents sexism and ageism. 2 isms that I'm firmly opposed to. Sinkism and drownism are 2 more. So I could see I was going to be left having to fend for myself against the other men on board.